Hey guys, welcome back. Besiege Early Access coverage. This is episode 8. I'm Igneous, and today we're continuing with the Lobber. This is our testbed machine. It's mostly just to play around with the different components and see how they interact with one another and kind of learn how things work. Last episode we did the swivel base that will allow us to aim it left and right. Since then, I've replaced the wood blocks on that inner circle on the base with the ballast blocks. And basically that's the only change that I made. So if you're following along at home, nothing major that you need to know about. Now we're building the mechanism that will actually launch the boulders. We're going to do the loader, in a future episode. But for now, we're doing the actual launcher part, which is just a really simple, straightforward swinging arm with a grabber on the end of it that will grab the boulders. And then as it swings forward, you release the boulder and it will fly in whatever trajectory is indicated by where you let go of the boulder and the arm. So really simple, straightforward concept in terms of how it's actually going to throw the boulders, but there's a number of steps involved into actually making it work, especially when we're talking about having a loader involved so that we can have more than one boulder at play. It would be really, really easy to do this if we just wanted the one boulder, but just for giggles, we'd like to be able to have several more and be able to reload as we go. So we built a wood pole up and attached the 2 ballast blocks to it, removed the wood pole, and then attached the ballast blocks to the frame with braces. So lighter, at least as strong as the wood. Braces can fail if you apply enough force, but they are lighter than the wood, so that's something we want to do. And then same thing here, using a temporary wood pole, we'll attach a grabber to the end of that, and that grabber is what's going to be holding the boulder that's going to be flung. So if you picture this as an arm that swings back and forth, the grabber releases the boulder and the boulder goes flying, assuming that there's enough speed and all that other good stuff. So, and just like we've been doing up to this point, the wood's just there temporarily in order to reduce the weight. We replace it with ballast blocks and braces. It's not quite as easy with the ballast blocks. Sometimes they don't necessarily want to go where we want to put them, but it's an easy enough workaround. You can see there we can't attach it to the grabber with the grabber already in place, but we can attach everything here. And it's always a good idea, I've learned with the ballast blocks, to just redo your connections to make sure everything works properly. So it may have looked like it was connected to the grabber, but remove the grabber and then attach it specifically to the ballast block solves a few problems. So that's the swivel that I thought would be just kind of like something that goes around. Like if you have a swing set and you push someone too hard and they just go around and around and around like a cartoon. It's not going to work that way. Spoiler, it's not going to work. It's not going to move at all. And it's going to take me an unreasonable amount of time to figure out that that's what our problem is as we proceed through this process and discover that it for whatever reason, it didn't want to behave the way we were expecting it to behave. But for now, in our own mind, we've got the very basics of this mechanism in place. So what we need is a boom or an arm of some sort that extends back with another grabber on it, and then some mechanism that allows us to swing the boulder arm back to the grabber and hold it in place while we attach a boulder to it, and then release the grabber so the arm swings, and then release the other grabber to release the boulder. Simple, right? So we're spinning it around and we're looking at it and we're just kind of trying to think exactly what we need to do to make this happen. And I decided the first thing we needed to do was apply more braces, because you can almost never have too many braces. The difficulty that we're going to have, and I'll bring this up now, talk about it briefly so that you guys can understand going forward, is the frame rate issue we were talking about in the last episode. The developers are in the process of upgrading the engine for the game so that we should hopefully see better frames. We'll be able to do more things before the frame rate dives. But in this case, this little humble machine that we have going here with just a swinging arm and a rotating platform is enough to cause the frame rate to take a very serious nosedive. So what I've decided to do for this episode is I'll let you guys just kind of watch it and see what I mean when we talk about that low frame rate. And then if you want, you can leave feedback. Let me know if it's too much of a dip, it's kind of disruptive and painful to watch. We can revert to doing kind of like block showcases, similar to tutorial kind of things for the individual blocks that we might be working with in the future until the engine is upgraded. And then return to projects like this. We'll finish this off and then we'll do other more complicated projects once the engine can support a better frame rate when there's all kinds of things going on. So I'll leave it up to you guys. If there's a pretty strong feeling one way or the other, I can go either way. It doesn't really bother me. But I'm aware of it, and we do have certain options. So you can see now we put the temporary wooden boom across, so we put the grabber on it. That's the one that will hold the arm while we load it. And now we just need to, like we've been doing up to this point, get everything all connected, remove the wooden stuff, and then replace the wooden connections with braces. And theoretically, all we'd have to do after that is add springs, so the contractible springs, so that we can pull the arm back. You just press a button and it will pull the arm back into the grabber and hold it there while we load it. And that should be it. Like really, really simple, straightforward. Like simple mechanism, but it's going to take a little bit more fiddling before we get a feel for exactly what's wrong. Now, one of the things that I'm kind of looking at here in the recording is it looks pretty clear to me that the grabber, the second grabber that we added on that ballast block just hanging in the middle of nowhere like that, is too far out and it won't grab the ballast block on the arm. So we have to kind of reposition it. It would have been a little bit easier for me to reposition it just by building back from the ballast block that's hanging in the middle of the air. But I was kind of trying to gauge the distance and using the wooden blocks themselves as kind of a measuring stick to figure out how many block spaces I needed to account for and all this other stuff. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. One way or the other, we'll get there. We just have to kind of get it sorted and get it in place, and then we should be able to apply the spring and test it. But like I say, it wouldn't be nearly so fun if it always worked the first time. It would be a little bit dull. Half the time is the spectacular failures that are the most interesting. As you can see now, it's in a better position. The temporary wooden structure is out of the way, and we can build back with the braces, and hopefully, we thought, we'll be good. It'll be ready to go. We can just attach the springs, pull it back, job done. Really simple concept, right? I mean, if you're looking at it after it's built, it's kind of like, wow, look at all the braces and what are they doing and all that other crap. But realistically, it's really, really straightforward. Just assigning a key for the spring. And now when we hit play, key for the grabber. When we hit play, we should be able to press 3 because that's the key that we apply to the spring, and it would pull the arm back. And then it would hit the grabber, and the grabber would hold the arm. And we could call this phase of the build job done. But this is the reduced frame rate that I'm trying to figure out whether or not we want to move the camera away from parts of the machine to reduce the rendering stuff. And they're like, no, just pull it back. And that's as far as it would go. And I was like, why? Why won't it go any farther? That's not what we wanted. That's not how it's supposed to work. The thought that it might be the swivel deciding that it didn't want to move for whatever reason, I don't know. And I did try. For those of you kind of thinking what might be the problem, I tried a number of different things in part of the, in the segment that I removed to make sure that it wasn't binding on something on one side or the other. Trying to diagnose the issue with the swivel to try and get it moving, it wasn't having any of that. It decided that it wasn't going to move, and we're back to the drawing board with the swivel, trying to figure out what, for the future use that we might have of the swivel, we would have to do differently for it to work properly. But then, of course, me being me, we've got this set up with one spring on the arm, and it's only pulling it back a little ways, so it will probably work better if we use 2 springs, right? Because that's, get a bigger hammer. If the first one doesn't work, just get a bigger one. We'll apply 2 springs, which it's easy. I mean, the ballast blocks, even if we were just using wood blocks in the place of the ballast blocks, there's lots of connection points so that we can add those 2 springs, and then we change the key binding so that they're both on the same key, and we change them both to 3. And then we'll hit play, and we will press 3, and all of a sudden, tear the machine apart. Like I say, braces are strong, but they're not indestructible, and that was kind of our first indication that there's a bigger issue at play. So cut out all the fiddling around, trying to figure out what the problem might be, getting rid of the swivel, replacing it with the basic hinge. It'll allow the same range of motion that we need in order for this particular project to work, without the hassle of figuring out what the hell the swivel's problem was. And now you can see it's swinging back properly, but for whatever reason, when the grabber grabbed the arm, it released from the ballast block up there. It's just like, now what? What the hell is going on? But stop it, fix it, reattach it to the ballast block, try it again, and it'll swing exactly the way that we want it to. It'll swing back, it'll get held, and then we can press a button and it'll release. And you can watch the rest of that. I'll just, it's just a little bit of fiddling around that we're going to do, but realistically speaking, the firing mechanism, I guess you could say, the reloading arm works, the firing mechanism will work. We just have to do the actual reloading mechanism that will move the boulders around so that the arm can grab them, and then we will have a working thing either in the next episode or sometime in the future when the engine will support what we're trying to do. So let me know, absolutely let me know. If you want to be notified when I add future Besiege videos, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on social media for notifications. You can do that with links that are always in the information section below the video. Please leave those comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.